If you're a big fan of old school Star Wars, you might look at the sequel trilogy and see the abilities and powers that Rey and Kylo Ren have, and you might be befuddled. You might be confused. Like, how could these new Force users have all of the strength and power? Well, it's actually all been explained throughout different movies and novels and comic books, and it all has to do with the cosmic force. You may have heard of the cosmic force versus the living force, and in this video, I want to explain why Kylo Ren and Rey are basically embodiments of the light and dark side of the cosmic force, why that explains their levels of power, and what it means for their relationship in Episode 9. What's up, everybody? Happy Star Wars Sunday if you're watching this on Sunday, and if you're not, guys, every Sunday I do in-depth Star Wars videos here on the channel and occasionally do an episode of Nerds Talk Star Wars. It's pretty cool. Come back on Sundays. Now I want to shout out Agent who got the nerd card question correct in the last Star Wars video I did talking about the Episode 9 set leaks from Jordan. Shout out to you, man. You definitely know your stuff when it comes to Star Wars, and we'll go ahead and do another nerd card question at the end of this video. So like I said in the intro, Kylo Ren and Rey, very interesting characters. Both show new abilities and powers that we've never seen in Star Wars before, and honestly, there is an explanation for this. Like I said, this all has to do with the cosmic and the living force. So I want to talk about the cosmic force, talk about what it is, why Kylo Ren and Rey are so important to the cosmic force, and what it means for them in Episode 9. So first, let me give an explanation of what the living force is, what the cosmic force is, and what this means for Star Wars. Basically, the living force is defined as the force created and shared by living things. It's that force that connects and binds all living things. Now, the cosmic force is sort of considered the higher force. It is the place beyond the physical where all of the energy that is created in the living force flows into and out from. You can think of it as heaven. You can think of it as nirvana, as other dimension. It's basically like the metaphysical force, right? There's the metaphysical, then there's the physical. The physical force is what takes place between living beings, lifting objects, and different things like that. The cosmic force is where you get things like Mortis, where you get the force connection that Kylo Ren and Rey have. And I think the best way to explain this has to do with force ghosts themselves, or basically the Jedi that are able to retain their consciousness beyond their physical body. We've seen 3 different examples of this in Star Wars canon. One is with Qui-Gon Jinn.
You have come at last.
Qui-Gon Jinn,
who, although his body does not manifest into the cosmic force, his personality does, and he's able to hold on to his personality and then come back from the cosmic force to communicate with Yoda.
how are you here?
I am a manifestation of the Force.
Then we see, of course, the Force Ghosts themselves. I think most famously is pretty much a Ben Kenobi, who receives his training from Master Qui-Gon and is able to literally manifest his body back in that blue Force Ghost form. On an interesting side note here, the explanation in canon for this is that their physical bodies literally instantly become energy, and that goes into the cosmic force, but it retains all of its identity, and it's able to come back and form itself in our known universe. This is why Obi-Wan disappears, Yoda disappears, Anakin's body is said to disappear from Vader's suit, so when Luke is burning it on Endor, it's just the suit. But there was another way that this was done, and this was in Star Wars Rebels, where the Jedi Kanan Jarrus is able to bring his personality back from the Cosmic Force and able to manifest it into one of the Loth Wolves, who do have a special connection to the Force. Now, obviously, Kanan didn't receive the training from the Shaman of the Wills. He's not a child of the Force in the same way that Anakin and all the Skywalkers are, and yet his will was so strong that he was still able to come back, in a sense, from the Cosmic Force into the living force. So I hope that kind of paints an idea for what we're talking about here with the cosmic and the living force. But when it pertains to Rey and Kylo, this all has to do with a sort of tipping of the balance, a constant ebb and flow between light and dark when it comes to the cosmic force. Now, the movie The Force Awakens is literally about the cosmic force reawakening and finding a conduit for the light, which would be Rey. This is explicitly spelled out in the Jason Fry novelization, which talks about the last Last Jedi. It's The Last Jedi's novelization, but it's really in depth, and I highly recommend it for people because it gives a very good explanation of what exactly is going on here. But even in the film The Last Jedi itself, both Snoke and Luke Skywalker talk about this balance. Talk about powerful darkness, powerful light. Snoke is essentially trying to weed out and kill Skywalker. Wants nothing to do with the Force. He shuts himself off from it, thinking that if he comes up and steps up to be the hero, it will only just create another act of darkness, another bad side of balance. Now, we know for sure that Rey is connected to the cosmic force. I mean, she gets the vision when she touches Luke Skywalker's saber. That is so obvious. And then at the end of the film, when she opens herself up to the cosmic force, she flows over with power. This is how, with no training whatsoever, she is able to defeat Kylo Ren in combat. And this actually happened in Legends a couple of times too. Like, Jedi were able to open themselves up to the cosmic force, and then they would become so strong and powerful. In fact, so powerful that their abilities were almost unrecognizable to what they were before this happened. It's like divine intervention in a way. And we know that Kylo is deeply connected to the cosmic force because he is the darkness that the cosmic force is holding up to make balance within the universe. Also, when Rey and Kylo Ren do the interrogation scene, their minds and spirits sort of like wind in and out of each other, and it is said that Rey gains access to all of Kylo Ren's training in that moment. They sort of become the same person, share each other's memories, and this is where a lot of their connection really forms in that moment. That's the cosmic force at work. I mean, plain and simple. Also, you should note that even though it's referred to as a force back vision, Rey actually sees the future, and when she touches Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, she gets a vision of her fighting Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base. That's looking into the future. And we know that this stuff is connected to the cosmic force because in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn scolds Obi-Wan for being focused too far into the future, using the cosmic force, looking at that. And Qui-Gon says to him, you need to be mindful of the living force. You should pay attention to the future, but not at the expense of the moment. Now, this whole force connection, cosmic force connection that Rey and Kylo share is taken to the next level in The Last Jedi. I mean, first of all, Rey goes to Ahch-To. Luke wants nothing to do with her, and she's drawn into the Jedi Temple. Luke then says, you've seen this place before. Rey says, yes, only in dreams. It's like Luke knows what's going on with Rey when it comes to the cosmic force. He's still reluctant to do anything about it, but he knows what's going on. Kylo is connected to the cosmic force as well. We see Rey and Kylo's connection to the cosmic force manifest fully when they start to actually appear in front of each other. Now, Snoke is said to be the one that actually connects their minds, but all of this is taking place through the cosmic force, and I believe it is only possible because they are both sort of manifestations or conduits for the separate sides of the cosmic force. And there's something to the fact that Snoke knew that this was going on. In The Force Awakens novelization, Snoke refers to the fact that Kylo comes from the dark and the light as a very good thing. And I want to come back to this, but it is very possible that Snoke had a great knowledge of what the cosmic force was, and what he was really trying to do was utilize a being like Kylo Ren who had the ability to truly manipulate the cosmic force, which is way stronger and more powerful than manipulating the living force. So, of course, this whole thing kind of culminates with the hand-touching scene. This is the infamous hut scene. And when these two force users reach out and touch each other within the cosmic force, something absolutely insane happens. I want to draw a parallel between this moment and a moment in Star Wars Rebels where Ezra Bridger and Darth Maul, at the time just known as Maul, take a Sith holocron and a Jedi holocron and combine them together to see a vision that can only be explained as coming through the cosmic force. And if you know who the Bendu is a character that falls in the middle. He continuously says this in Rebels. He's not on the light or the dark. He is in the middle, which some people would refer to as the unifying force, which is a very similar idea to the cosmic force. But listen to what the Bendu says here about combining the Sith and the Jedi holocron.
When joined, any secret, wisdom, or destiny can be seen through the Force One could bring much chaos with such hidden truth.
So something very interesting and cosmic level was happening when those two touched hands. This could be why Luke Skywalker hated it and wanted it to stop. I mean, this is a big freaking deal. And I think that what happened there is beyond the scope of what Snoke thought possible, what Luke thought possible, what the entire galaxy thinks is possible when it comes to the Force. Now, I want to come back to what I think this means for episode 9 with Rey and Kylo, but first, let's talk a little bit more about what the galaxy was experiencing and why the cosmic force had to manifest itself into these two beings. So after the events of the Battle of Endor and when the Empire was finally defeated, the cosmic force itself becomes dormant. This is repeated in a lot of different ancillary material, but essentially what happened was Luke Skywalker was seemingly the only force user in the galaxy, and instead of trying to expand his own power and pass on what he was learning, Luke instead put the pause button on that and did like an Indiana Jones thing where he went around trying to discover the secrets of the Force and the secrets of the ancient Jedi. He was going around trying to learn more and not really practicing within the Force. On top of that, he also excluded himself from the comings and goings on of the galaxy. He didn't want to influence anything, and he was off just kind of doing his own thing. I believe he was with Lor Santeca for some of this. We see this in the Battlefront 2 book, where he's finding a thing on Paleo that actually you see in The Last Jedi, the compass there, and we know that as early on as before Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker was actively looking for Jedi relics and different things like that just to try to understand what was going on with the Force. And we know this happens in Shattered Empire when Luke Skywalker goes to get the Force trees with Poe Dameron's mother. He's just trying to collect artifacts, trying to figure out what's going on with the Force. Then comes in Snoke, who of course is very powerful with the dark side, but there's something weird going on with Snoke, something that has not yet been explained. But when he enters the game, he realizes immediately that he wants Luke Skywalker to formulate his Jedi. He needs a powerful light side user, and I cannot help but think this has something to do with the knowledge that Snoke has about the cosmic force. To truly manipulate the cosmic force, I do not believe you can be completely on the dark side or completely on the light side. You need to really know what the unified force is in order to manipulate the cosmic force. And so we know that what Snoke did was manipulate a young Ben Solo, who of course had the seed of Anakin Skywalker within him. He was connected to Darth Vader and to Luke Skywalker, the powerful light, the powerful dark, and he manipulates this kid in order to get Luke Skywalker to start a Jedi temple. Luke goes on to begin a Jedi temple, train his new academy, and it goes awfully. And of course, we see that Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, feels betrayed, burns down the temple, becomes Kylo Ren, and becomes the manifestation of the dark side as far as this cosmic chess game is concerned. Again, it's so interesting to me that this thread was played on a lot in The Force Awakens. Like, you hear Han Solo say to Ben Solo, Snoke is just using you for your power. When he has what he wants, he'll destroy you. And it's like, okay, but what power does Ben Solo have that Snoke does not? Snoke is obviously more gifted within the Force. It has to do with the capacity for light and the capacity for dark. And I believe that Snoke realizes that Kylo has this kind of a connection to the cosmic force that he does not. This is echoed again when Snoke says the potential of your bloodline. And he is toying with Kylo here, trying to get him angry, say that he's no Vader. But at the end of the day, he definitely recognizes that there's something to the Skywalker bloodline. I think it is the fact that that bloodline was created from the cosmic force, giving them an immediate connection with it. However, as it stands in all reality, Kylo becomes the conduit for the dark, and yet he is attracted to the light. He says that he feels the pull to the light yet again. And Rey is the exact opposite. She is on the light side, but feels the pull to the dark. Remember, she goes right to the dark in the lesson from Luke Skywalker when meditating. So they are on this side and yet attracted to the other side. And that is very yin-yang. You know what I mean? The yin and the yang with a little bit of yin and yang within itself. And really, within those dots is a whole nother yin-yang. Because they are these embodiments and because they are attracted to each other, I believe they are two parts of the equation for the cosmic force. The cosmic force is compelling them to be together. And this could manifest itself in a number of different ways in Star Wars Episode 9. I believe that if the two of them were to work together in conjunction, they can do incredible things. And this is already teased in The Last Jedi when they work together to defeat Snoke, who is just one of the most powerful Force users we have ever seen. But what if there's something bigger going on? What if there is a threat to reality itself? Something truly cosmic, something that is way bigger than the First Order or the Resistance or the Jedi. And what if they both kind of know this already? It's like this imprinted knowledge within them that there's something much greater going on. And if that thing ends up happening in Star Wars Episode 9, then I believe the two of them would have to work together to stop it. This could potentially cost one or both of their lives, which would be an absolutely tragic way for it to go. But there is also the possibility that they figure out that they have to work together and that they have to be active to stop this thing. So there's one of two scenarios that go down, I believe. One, that they work together to do something that stops what is going on, that's a big cosmic threat, and it ends up destroying them, or they realize that they have that power together and that they must remain together to use that power when it is needed, and they leave the inner workings of the galaxy and go into exile. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this video is the Force Child, and I highly recommend everyone goes and checks out the Force Child video that I did. It's a big theory talking about how when they touch hands, it is very possible that they conceived a child. If this happened, and what I am talking about here is true when it comes to the cosmic force, then this child would have the same ability that I hypothesize Rey and Kylo could have if they worked together. Meaning, this child would have the capacity of the light and the capacity of the dark and be an embodiment and a conduit for both of those things. This would be, without a doubt, the most powerful Force user that we have ever seen in Star Wars, with quite possibly the ability to literally reshape reality, change things, change time, change people, change everything. And what would someone do with such a power? How would such a power manifest itself within the galaxy? Well, I believe that might be a story for the next saga of films. And I think it would be a cool through line to end this saga, to end the Skywalkers, and start this new saga, all based around this new Force user who is literally the marriage and the byproduct of the cosmic force on the light side and the cosmic force on the dark side coming together. So those are some of my thoughts about the cosmic and the living force. This is exactly why I'm such a big fan of Reylo. This is the kind of stuff that I really dig when it comes to Star Wars. This is the type of content that I want to get back to making. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just sort of a trail of thoughts and a possible explanation for some things that might happen in Star Wars Episode 9. Let me know what you are thinking about this. It's sort of a theory. It's sort of just speculation. But let me know what you're thinking about this in the comment section below. Now let's check that nerd card before we get out of here. I want to know, how did Qui-Gon learn the lessons to come back from the cosmic force? Who taught him that lesson? Answer that question in the comment section below. You can, of course, click below to watch some more cool videos, including that Force Child video, which I think you guys would totally dig. We have some merchandise over there, too, if you want to check that out, including some Reylo t-shirts. The Den of Nerds over here, we are independent media. We just make content from fans that we think other fans will like. So if you like some of that stuff, consider subscribing as well. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.